I'm looking at John because I'm thinking about the market, so I'll give the developer secret away because we were talking about other cities. So we just go and copy stuff, but make it better. So you don't have to, Orlando does not usually lead in stuff like this, but you have to know enough to see what's going on other places and then sort of raise the bar. So, and then you have to have maybe a different way of framing it. And that's what I think we are able to do here, and we have enough opportunities to do things maybe better than other people. So I think an interesting story about what happened at Medical City is it's really a result of we lost out on the first opportunity. So I think that's always a good story we made lemonade out of the lemon of losing the first opportunity. So tell that story about, some people know it, but Medical City was supposed to be for another tenant that we lost.
That's exactly right. So let me say something good about a Republican governor. Jeb Bush is a governor that got economic development. Next to, even though they've talked about it, you don't really understand it, even the one that's talking about jobs all the time. But Jeb got it and was all about bringing high-tech, biotech industry to Florida, incentivized it, and put his personal stamp on it, really. And the first one that he recruited was Scripps. And we were in the competition to the very end. I guess it really came down to us in Palm Beach, and they bypassed us and went to Palm Beach. And we fortunately got a second opportunity, second at bat, I guess. And the Burnham Institute was the next one that was looking at Florida. And again, it came down to a contest, and we were in it to the very end, and this time we were successful. And I actually think it turns out that the Sanford Burnham Institute is a better match for us than Scripps would have been, just because the culture of the organization, and I have really enjoyed them. But you think about Medical City, let's see, 8 years ago it was a cow pasture. And then I would say us learning to partner together and work together, really the catalyst for all that was when the community came together to work and get a medical school for the University of Central Florida. So much of the business community worked on that. I remember flying all around the Board of Trustees meetings and meeting with the governor on that, and it came down to, in his mind, it wasn't the question of whether did we need more doctors, it was an economic development issue, and what sold him was what the Medical City would evolve into. And I think there were a lot of doubting Thomases on whether this Medical City thing would actually occur, or Sunrail, or a whole number of things. So any doubting Thomases on the Creative Village, just look at what happened at the Medical City. But we get the medical school, and then that suggests to Burnham that this would be a good place to co-locate. And then all of a sudden we've got the VA hospital, the Moores is coming out there. University of Florida had never located anything outside of Gainesville other than IPAS, and now they've got a presence in several different locations, both Medical City and the Creative Village.
We think about this, we sometimes take UCF for granted. UCF's big, and it hasn't always been that way. So when I grew up here, that was FTU, Florida Technological University, and it was small. And now it's the second largest public university in the country, and they're a great partner, and they can move the needle. And they will move the needle at Creative Village. You need an educational anchor the way they anchored Medical City that's got 40, 50, 60,000 students. The good thing about students and the good thing about universities and colleges is the students have to go where you tell them to go. So you can actually organize, it works great for if you're trying to have transit ridership and get people to live in a neighborhood and everything. Sometimes you have to use a college or a hospital or some major anchor like that to sort of behave in a way you want, and then the world will kind of follow. So this university thing is key. John Hitt's a good partner, great regional partner, and I don't think anybody should ever forget about what a big deal UCF is. We sometimes take it for granted. It's not in the right spot, so we forget about it sometimes because it's so far east of town. But it's a huge asset, and they realize that. Dr. Hitt's commitment to downtown is strong, and he realizes they have to have a major presence in the digital media world and other areas downtown. It'll be several 100,000 feet. It'll be 3,000 or 4,000 students, so they're a great partner. I don't want anybody to ever forget about them.
Let me just add in there, we have a great relationship with the university, and that doesn't happen every day.
Actually, that's why I say don't take that for granted. In every city, that's not true.
Dr. Hitt was telling me the other day, we went to Tallahassee together, and he said, I go to these meetings of university presidents and talk about the relationship, what we're doing with the city and or the county. and they're just amazed.
Yeah.
Even you go to Gainesville, the University of Florida does not have a good relationship with the city of Gainesville.
Back to that emulating other cities things, the model for how you do a great university to really revitalize the city is Philadelphia. Pennsylvania is adjacent to downtown, and Philadelphia's got some major problems. It's not Detroit, but it's got some major problems. And,
close to 500 murders.
Yeah, it's tough. But University of Pennsylvania made a commitment about 20 years ago through its president, who was very Dr. Hit-like, was able to get stuff done. And she essentially turned the university inside out. And it used to be a walled-off campus, the way a lot of traditional universities were designed. She turned the university inside out. She said, we're in the real estate development business. We're going to own and develop real estate around our university, and it's going to have housing and bookstores and hotels and all this stuff. And they said, if we need a farmer's market and nobody else will do it, we'll do it. If we want to have an art show and nobody else will do it, we'll do it. And they became really the catalyst in revitalizing Center City, Philadelphia, which is actually now very good. Philadelphia is a lesson for Orlando a bit, in the sense that its downtown is very, very healthy, but it has some real problems in the outlying neighborhoods. North of town, where Temple University and all is very challenging. So that's a case study if you're interested in how education can anchor downtown. Once again, we don't make this stuff up. It's sort of worked in a lot of other places. So Donna didn't pay me to talk about the arts, because I obviously believe in the arts greatly. But there's a lot of different stuff going on in the arts I don't know everybody knows about. Everybody knows about the Performing Arts Center. The Performing Arts Center is bigger than so I guess I've been asleep at the board meetings, because I've been on that board for a long time. But, and I saw all the renderings and everything, and we've been to Barton Myers and saw everything, right? And it's
the scale. On paper, you just didn't realize how big it's going to be. And has everybody been by since the construction's been going on? So you know the structure that's going to hold the canopy. There's a canopy that's going to come out over Magnolia and shade it, and you can have street festivals and that type of stuff. It is the size of a football field. It's actually bigger than a football field.
Right, so what you see now is just a support system. The canopy wings off of it. It's going to be huge. It's going to be iconic for Orlando. Having a Performing Arts Center, sort of to tie into the Richard Florida thing, it's important if you like the arts, and there will be 1% of the population will actually go inside of it to see a performance. But it's important if you never go inside of it. And the public space is very important. The symphony, if you take the Sydney Opera House or something, it becomes an icon for your city if it's architecturally significant, and it matters. The arts matter whether you're an arts patron or not, and I think that we've made that connection economic development-wise. Tell us about the sculpture program. I think it's called C-Art. I don't think everybody knows as much about that.
So I mentioned one of the things that I ran on in 2003 was revitalizing downtown, and I actually think we've done a pretty decent job. People used to say downtown was blighted, and in fact, it was one block that was blighted, and that's where the plaza is now. And we've worked on residential, and I think we've done a pretty decent job, especially when we get transit in. So I was sitting with some arts lovers, including Donna, 3 years or so ago, I guess, and we're talking about what's missing in our downtown. So anybody, what's missing? You go to great downtowns, most of them have great sculpted art. And think about Chicago or Portland, or I was in Charlotte. Even Charlotte has great sculpted art. So since we identified the issue, I said, okay, now you guys have to help me solve the issue. So Jennifer Quigley is chairing a new not-for-profit that we created. Donna's on the board, a number of arts folks are on that board, and we are commissioning 8 new pieces of sculpted art. We did a call to artists and got, oh gosh, about 200 people from all across the country, all across the world that submitted pieces. We went and solicited private funds to fund the entire thing. So we're doing 8 pieces of new sculpted art, and we're going to create an art walk. We're also repairing the Tower of Light. So we're going to clean it and light it. You probably, I'm guessing no one here has ever seen the Tower of Light actually.
It was cool when it worked.
So the Prove organization is raising the money and has taken that on as a project to relight that, because we thought it's a little difficult to put up new sculpted art if you don't fix the old art.
Right. Right.
So you'll be able to start at the Tower of Light and walk to Signature Plaza, and there'll be a piece on Signature Plaza. Walk further to the History Center, and there's a piece in front of it, the corner of the History Center. Walk on up Magnolia to Washington, and there'll be a piece there. And then you take Washington to Lake Eola Park, and there's a piece that is close to the band shell in that general area. Then there'll be a piece on halfway down Robinson, a piece at Panera Bread, or across from Panera Bread, not Panera Bread. A piece in the Farmers Market area, a piece in the Rotary, right over here,
right
by the roundabout.
Yeah. So the idea is that I think that we understand visually maybe that even though we have a great arts community, it's somewhat fragmented, and so we need things like this, I think, to tie everything together. One of my theories about Orlando is that if you look at what we have and you write it down, we have a lot. And this is true whether it's digital media or the simulation cluster or business-wise or arts and culture-wise. But we have a lot that's very scattered and it's laid out wrong. It's organized wrong. So the phrase that Tim Baker and I use for Creative Village, and Brooke I think now believes it too, hopefully, but because people used to think it was an if you build it, they will come model, and it's not what we believe. We believe that if you build it, they will rearrange. And that's all you need to happen at Creative Village. You do not have to get Microsoft to move here and take 500,000 feet. That's not the Creative Village model. You just have to rearrange the creative assets that we have, and then you have to build out the neighborhood with a mix of housing and retail and parks and social stuff that make a great neighborhood. So that it's not a model of trying to, you're not really dependent on recruiting a bunch of people from out of town. We have a tremendous, really good, what I call urban asset balance sheet. We've got the right assets, it's just they're not arranged right. And it's, if you're trying to wrap your mind around that theory, this is the theory you really got to fundamentally understand if you want to figure out why Orlando's going to beat other cities. Like Atlanta also has a really good urban asset balance sheet, but poorly organized. And there's other cities that have a smaller balance. Portland doesn't have a huge urban asset balance sheet, but it's arranged about as well as any American city. So you can be better than another place just simply by how you arrange everything. It's not just do you have it. It's not just checking it off the list, but it's where you put it.
And Austin's a pretty good example.
Yeah, Austin's another example.
When we were in Austin, they were checking off all their assets, and it's kind of like, well, we have that.
Right.
We have that.
Yeah.
We have that. Why is Austin known to have a reputation that they have? And one of the things, I don't think even people in our community realize all of the assets that we have. So certainly people that aren't in our community aren't going to recognize them. And you go other places, everybody knows Orlando. I don't care where you go, we have the best brand name.
Right.
Maybe New York City's is recognizable, but outside of that. No, I'm serious. I mean, I was in Japan and every person I Orlando said it a little differently. Everybody knows it, but everybody knows it for tourism and not necessarily for business or arts and culture or some of the things that we know about. So one of the things that we're doing as a community is talking about how do we not going to eliminate the tourism aspect of it, but how do we rebrand and organize our other assets and have them become better known?
I think the thought maybe if you see someone like me who talks about downtown and urban development all the time, you could read that to think that we sort of don't care about what happens in the tourist corridor and all that stuff, and that's completely not true. It is not an option to try to figure out how the rest of the region is going to somehow trump that, because it's not going to. The challenge is how do you expand the idea and the brand of Orlando, and EDC is working on that now. How do we communicate that, yes, that's great, yes, that is our brand, that's what we're known for, but there's other things going on, and articulating that message, even to people that have lived here for a while, is somewhat difficult, because I think some people don't know what we have, so that's something to think about.
Let me ask one quick question. Who knows before this morning that we have the largest modeling, simulation, and training cluster in the world? Did everybody know that, or is that something new? Is it new to anybody?